Hi, this is Donna Wells. I want to talk about my practicum for LSC 615 metadata. I came away with three specific examples of how the practicum helped me learn, as a supplement to what we learn in the classroom. Conceptually, it's the discretion that metadata creators have when they author metadata. So, of course, for example, in Dublin Core and the mods, different elements are required and optional. Just other choices that metadata creators have when they work on projects. So, first of all, in the practicum, I worked on watercolors. The practicum is a foundation, and Rachel Mellon donated, I think, 19,000 pieces, items, which include books, manuscripts, and artwork. I worked on the watercolors. My spreadsheet had 550 rows, and each row was at least one piece of art. Many of the rows included many pieces of art. But first of all, what units are included? So a lot of what I did is I went through and I converted inches to centimeters. But, that's a decision that the foundation or, librarians made. It's possible that, the units could have stayed in inches. Another decision is that the person who was working on the spreadsheet before me was an expert in art history. Her name was Danielle. But she wasn't a librarian. She didn't necessarily have a background in library science or metadata. So, we learned about that in LSC 557 and LSC 553. Dr. Chancellor, I think, is a law librarian. People can be only librarians or they can be attorneys and librarians. In the case of my practicum, I'm not an expert in art history, but the woman who was working on the spreadsheet before me wasn't a librarian. So, in our case, neither of us were both art history experts and librarians. So, it's a decision about who works on the spreadsheet, an expert in art or an expert in metadata. The third choice it has to do with subheadings. I really liked the subheadings we created. We created we created several columns. Each column is a different subheading. So we created a column for nationality of the artist. There's a lot of really fun columns for different parts of the general notes. So the inscriptions, there's a column for exhibits. Because, conceptually as a patron, it's fun to know the inscriptions, and it's fun to know if the art had been featured in an exhibit. So, if and when someone sits down to work on a metadata project, to identify if there is a decision to be made. So in this case, the metric system, art history expert or a librarian, and then just different things to highlight about the metadata. So I really like that we have a column for inscriptions. There's a column for nationality of the artist, and there's already a column for had this particular watercolor been included in an exhibit. So this is Donna Wells. This is my practicum for LSC 615. Thank you very much.